I'm going to tell you this, and I know you're like going to freak. We would have people join the membership, and I'd be like, I can't take that. I can't do that right now. And there were probably 5 over the years that joined and paid like the whole thing.
So wait, did you like turn it off immediately and give their money back? Like what?
Shut it off and gave it back. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this right now. I gave every single person their money back.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. We've got a special treat for you today. 2 special treats, actually. One, Jocelyn's here. Hi, Jocelyn.
Yeah, hello.
Because she was not going to miss the opportunity to talk to an old friend, Flipped Lifestyle community member and alumni OG from back in the day, Bonnie Finnerty. How you doing today?
Yeah.
Hey, it's so good to see you. And thanks so much for having me today.
It's amazing seeing a Flip Your Life Y'all shirt from 2018 in the flesh. If you're watching this on YouTube, we got some OG alumni swag going on in there.
You do.
That shirt became a favorite T-shirt for a lot of people. A lot of people, we've got our editor, Kevin, who will edit this later. Like he was wearing it today. Like
we
literally.
talked to him on the phone today and he had it on.
Well, wherever you got them from, it's great quality. It's so soft.
Did Clint do those?
I think so.
Our friend Clint, shout out
yeah.
Clint. Who designed those T-shirts?
Their website is now Halloween Shirt Company.
Halloween Shirt Company. If you want a Halloween shirt, go check them out. They probably got good swag just the same way. And mine doesn't fit anymore because I lost 50 pounds since the last time I wore that T-shirt. So mine would look like a tent.
I think we have some extras somewhere.
We got some floating around somewhere. I may go see if there's a large or something left over. But so Bonnie, you hold a special place in our heart, and all of our members do. But one of our first big things that we did that was like a big risk that we ever took besides starting our business was we were with some friends of ours, Jill and Josh Stanton, and we were like, hey, I wonder if we can host a live event of any kind. I wonder if we can get our people who listen to the podcast or listen to the shows or just do anything. I wonder if we can combine our audiences and we can get people to show up in person. And you came, was that the first live event, San Diego?
So, yeah, that was the first one. And I was trying to remember how long ago that was. Was it in
2015.
Yeah. And your story sticks out to me, especially because I remember when we were trying to sell these tickets, you bought 4. And we were like, oh, who are these people that you're bringing? You're like, oh, those are my kids. We were like, whoa, like that's really cool.
And I was like, we were all just so gobsmacked by that. Like, man, what a life-changing thing for a teenage kid, college or high school, to be able to come to an event, see entrepreneurs, see people trying to like take risks and do all those things. And then it's funny because that live event, like just the people in that room that bet on us, who we still talk to many of them in that room, today.
We do.
Like that led to our bigger live events. That led to us starting a live event company with some partners. That led to all the things that we've done to prove that we could do this live. I think that event led to my speaking career. And I remember very particularly, we rented a yacht.
Yeah, we did.
We took it out on the San Diego Bay. And I remember you just sitting there and you were just kind of sitting there and we were sitting beside you and you were just looking around going, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. And we were like, okay, let's do more of these. So thank you, Bonnie Finnerty, for believing in us.
Yeah, for sure.
It was fabulous.
For bringing your family. I mean, like, what an awesome time. And
now let's go back to that because you've been on a long journey. I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing now, but I kind of want to start back at the beginning. So you came to this. Tell us a little bit about your background, your career.
Okay.
And then what kind of started you on the entrepreneurial journey first, because you came from a very like structured professional background. So I want to make sure we frame this right.
I did. So I started as a teacher, but was tapped very early in my teaching career, like 5 years in, to become a school administrator. So I got certified as a school administrator, and that career just took off very quickly, and up and up and up. And I was very blessed in that career. And so I was a assistant principal, a principal, a school superintendent, an executive director for our county, and a college professor in educational leadership, all of those things. However, I've always been, if you're familiar with the leadership traits, the colors, I've always been that orange. I'm that deviant. I don't fit in a box. I don't follow the rules. I don't, if somebody tells me it can't be done, it will be done somehow, some way. And I always had my hand in other things. I started businesses. Even when I was a principal, I had another brick and mortar business. My husband and I bought and sold properties. We renovated them, flipped them. We bought, vintage, or not vintage, but historic buildings. We've done that all of our career together. And I've always got 10,000 things going. And so I always knew when I found you, it was Pat Flynn first. And then I heard your podcast on Pat Flynn, started following you, became a member. And then you put this out for this live event. And I said to my husband, now, mind you, we could not ever get time off, could never take time off. And he's a district office assistant superintendent too. So I was like, I'm doing this. I don't know how, but I'm
with or without
this.
you, buddy.
I'm like, you want to come, honey, or not? But so, and then we decided, we really felt very strongly that we needed to show our children something different, because school, all three were excellent students, but school just did not work for them. They were athletes, that school was great. They had great grades, but school structure just did not work. We homeschooled the first one for a little while as public school educators and administrators. So that was like very taboo, but it was trying to find what would just like bring them alive, what would really stimulate them. So long story short, we started following you, went to Flip Your Life, and, thought, okay, I am ready. And I don't know if you recall this, but oh my gosh, I look back and I'm just like, oh, Bonnie, like this big, ginormous table we were all sitting at. And I came with my 3-inch binder.
As an educator does.
As you do.
I had every tab. I had all the, my modules like planned out and all these things and everything from your blueprint printed out. And I was ready. And oh my gosh, like nobody brought a freaking binder except me.
You're my kind of people. It's funny you say that, because like we are all former educators are here, and like I MC this live event now, and like I still make, every time I go, and the lineup doesn't really change. I kind of, maybe a card here and there, but I have a handwritten 3-ring binder with all my printouts, and I have every hour on the thing, and and it's kind of like my ritual, and I get really excited for the next one, because I'm like, I'm going to go to Walmart and buy the new binder and the new tabs and the new paper for it.
So I don't know if I'm totally off on this, but if memory serves, and again, my memory's not the greatest.
There's been lots happen between.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that you may have just ripped the pages of that binder out and like thrown them away, because I'm pretty sure we kind of like changed
Blew up
everything
your whole
that you were
idea,
going to do.
like from scratch, basically.
Everything I thought I was going to do, like when we did like these hot seats or whatever, you just like, you kind of blew my mind, and I was just like,
but my binder, but look at my binder, my pretty binder.
So nice.
So nice. And then it was like this big, audacious idea and this big thing. And I was just like, I can't wrap my head around that. This is so big. And yet that is, from there is what has evolved. And now there is this big, ginormous like work, and it's good work. It's literally some of the most like transformative and meaningful work I have ever done in my career. And as I said, I've had a very blessed career, but this is
all right. So let's start there. Tell us what you're doing.
You got home, you threw away your binder.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
No, I didn't throw it's actually still over there under this one table.
You have to repurpose.
You got to repurpose. You got to use the binder. So like the entrepreneur journey always fascinates us. Like Jocelyn and I we were laughing hysterically on the way home from lunch today, going, what in the world? How could we have ever picked this path right now? And like, it's funny how like those things grow and evolve and change into, but it's like those first steps, like even that binder got you closer to what you were looking for, even though it got thrown in the trash or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So tell us what you're doing now, because this all sparked too, by the way. Bonnie sent me an email last week, and I was just, we were both sitting here just like, this is like just the ripples from a 2015 live event
Well,
were still happening. And we were just like, wow.
and that's what always happens to us. So like, I don't know, sometimes we'll be having the worst days and be like, why do we even do this? Like, do we have any idea what we're doing?
Yeah.
You know, like we go through this all the time. And those are the days that we get like the random messages
Always.
from
It
people.
never failed.
And we're like, is
Mhm.
that a coincidence?
Is that a coincidence,
I'm not sure.
universe? Are you like, what's
Mm-mm.
going on here? Because like literally we were like trying to make some decisions that day.
And he was just in a state.
I was in
and
a state. I was like, I'm confused. I don't know what I'm doing. This is dumb. We're
and
trying
so
to do all
I
this
came
big
across
stuff.
that message and I was like, okay, wait a minute here.
Yeah, check this out.
Yes.
Look at this.
Yeah, that's why we
He's
do.
like, oh yeah. Like
That's why I flip
Oh.
flops.
maybe we do have a clue of what we're doing every now and then.
Yeah. So let's come to the future. Let's go now. Tell us about your business now, what it's doing, just whatever you're comfortable sharing and what it's all about.
So I own Principal Health Coach. Along that journey that I talked about previously, in there I had a pretty significant health scare. And that has taken years to really fully understand. And it has definitely impacted my ability to do some level of work. And it caused me to have to make some decisions in my career. But with that, it also essentially was the driving why behind what became this big ginormous idea and this work, which is now Principal Health Coach. So I am an integrative nutrition, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition Health Coach. Always interested in wellness anyway, so it just fit. I was a health teacher before I became an administrator and was pre-med in college. So it all just has kind of come together. And so what we do is we help school leaders and we really niche down. And that's where your blueprint helped, because that was a huge thing. Like, who do I help? Oh, I can help everybody. No, I can't help everybody. So we help school leaders prioritize sustainable health promoting habits so that they can reduce stress, sleep better. We have a the executive health coaching piece of that leadership piece is all around systematizing things and looking at systems, processes, procedures. I'm huge on that with leadership. And so it all just kind of came full circle. And now we have the coaching side of the business, which took off. Like the 2 or 3 years before I actually retired, it had started. And I kind of I wasn't talking about it. I wasn't sharing it. And I kind of had to just keep the lid on things. And then when I made the decision to retire, the work started coming. It really just started coming. And I didn't even really have the website like built. I didn't have it public. So not only did the website change, but I kept the website behind locked doors for years and years and years. And I know I would hear in the back of my head, it ain't got to be perfect. It ain't got to be perfect. It just has to be done. And I had such years and years and years of challenges with mindset and perfection. And I could not make it public. I just couldn't do it. Now we would have it up at different times while we were working on things and just, having folks look at things. And I'm going to tell you this, and I know you're like going to freak. We would have people join the membership and I'd be like, I can't take that. I can't do that right now. And there were probably 5 over the years that joined and paid like the whole thing.
So wait, did you like turn it off immediately and give their money back? Like what?
Shut it off and gave it back. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this right now. I gave every single person their money back.
That is unbelievable. That is now listen, that's a new, I mean, we've heard a lot of things over the years, but that's kind of a new fear is, oh crap, they gave me money, take it back. I mean,
yes,
fear of taking people's
money. No, fear of receiving the money is a new one. This is great. That's amazing.
So that's not the real fear. The real fear was, truthfully, as a superintendent and in the roles, I just realized I can't do this. I don't have the time. My career was 80 hours a week, 6 and 7 days a week. And I just knew I could not do it.
Yeah.
So once the decision came to retire, that's when the work just exploded.
It's gotta be frustrating though. Like that's so interesting because, one of the other things I say all the time is like, if you can find one, you can find 101. Like once you prove your product will sell, there's a market there. That's not the only one of 8 billion humans on the planet that wants your stuff.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, what if 100 people do join this thing? And then how am I going to manage it? And how am I going to switch? And how am I going to do all of those things? And
Yeah, now that is a fear I think a lot of people have.
oh yeah,
I've heard that one a lot.
It's very real.
fear of success.
Fear of success. If you do succeed, then what?
You're on the hook.
Then you got to figure things out. And like, really, you figured out the hardest part already.
Yeah, I think, you know what I think it goes back to too, like this is something that we've talked about a lot, is like, I think people are in, most people that we find and the people that we serve. So like most people are brought up in one way. They're taught to do a certain thing. They go to college, get the career, they do something.
Mhm.
And then they get into like a place, right? We'll call it a midlife crisis. Why not? And they get,
We know a little
I know,
about
I've
that.
had a couple of those. And like we get to a place though, and we're like, and you look at it and you're like, this wasn't exactly how I wanted my life to work out, or I'm
Right.
thankful for my life the way it worked out, but I want something different. And I think that fear of success is like kind of like a fear of, well, what if this works? Well, then all those
Mhm.
things I did, it almost invalidates what you did, or in some
Yeah, it
people's
almost
minds.
invalidates the plan.
It invalidates
you know?
the plan or
Yeah.
the status quo, and you realize the status quo is not what you have to deal with. You can totally go against the grain and do something else. But it's kind of like that living in two worlds, or a tug of war between what's always been and what could be. And when someone buys that thing, you're standing in the middle of that rope. And you're like,
kind of
oh
making
my
a choice
gosh,
a little
I have to
bit.
make a
Yeah.
choice. Do I walk away from this thing now and move toward this and do something different? That's how we were when we quit our jobs. Like it was a massive conversation in this house that caused a lot of stress. Like, holy
Mhm.
crap, this is working, but do we walk away from everything we've done up to this point? And that's a big deal. That's a big
Right.
choice to make.
Yeah, it was especially a big choice to make then. I mean, we had young kids and we
Mhm.
didn't have a lot of savings, and we're like, okay, if we do this, like we're doing it.
Yeah, and like and
Mhm.
I think yours is a little different because it was the last couple years of this career you had built, and it feels like, correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like you were like, I'm finishing this job, like you were getting to the finish line of one thing, and you were so close to that finish line, it was like, I can't mess up this race, but I now know I can run another one, and that's what happened.
Yes, that's it. That's a great way to put it. And I was also, even when we went to San Diego and then to Nashville in 18, I was personally still so close to that finish line, even though it was 8 years away or 9. It was in our profession. It was too close at that point to discard everything because, there are very few careers anymore that have a defined pension.
Yeah.
And mine was going to be very comfortable, which was probably very enabling, to be quite honest.
Comfort will kill a lot of dreams.
Yes. It will. Truthfully. Yeah. So for this, this 2015, almost 10 years, I can't even tell you like this degree of guilt that I've carried, because I'd be like, I need to finish this. This is literally the one thing in my life, guys, that I never finished, because whatever I said I would do, or whatever I set out to do, I just did it. Yeah. This I didn't. And it's been there and been there and been there. And I finally, and there was always this, I've got to finish this because I have to send that email to Shane and Jocelyn. That has truthfully, sending that message to you was the driving force behind me finally just saying, it's going public. I'm putting it out there. The membership's not done. All the courses aren't fully loaded. I don't quite know how this, that, and the other thing's going to work, but it's going public. And it was, and I finally I had crafted that, and it just stayed on my computer, and I'm like, oh hell, I'm hitting send. And that was the most freeing experience ever. Like, I can't even tell you, there's just been this level of guilt because it was never finished, and I knew it needed to be finished.
Yeah.
Not because I said it had to be, but because I know people needed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think how many principles, which you've led so many principles, right? think how many administrators and stuff are so stressed. They're the hardest working people. It's crazy how much work principals do. Like we've got my cousin, he just got the assistant principal job at our middle school, and he's been the football coach there for 20 years, right? But and he got hired so late that they couldn't find another head coach, so they made an exception to let him stay on. So I yelled at him last night. We went to the football game to watch our daughter cheer, and they were getting they won the cheerleading state championship last year, so they were getting a ring. So we went to this game, and he walks by, and I'm like, "There's the hardest working man in town, baby," because I know that dude is up at 5 a.m. going to an administrator, coaching football, dealing with everything. Then he's going to a soccer game after the football game because he's got to be there too. And but that leads to a lot of stress, a lot of burnout, and it's the health that falls on our administrators.
It does.
First. Yeah.
It does. And they're leaving and exiting the profession in droves because of the mental anguish, because of the physical stress, because of the physical disease and manifestation of what is happening because of that stress.
Incredible.
And, just like teachers, we can't lose the administrators. We can't lose all the teachers.
No, we can't. And something's got to change. So you've got this now. So was this the original idea kind of in that binder? What was the original idea? Remind us real quick.
So the original idea was really essentially kind of the work that I was doing, a master of all trades, a lot of professional development on a variety of topics. I was presenting a lot. I was speaking a lot. I was doing a lot of that teaching and training. And so the original idea was this essentially everything I do, but now like virtually and online, no coaching piece, just this membership of this and it was just so enormous. And truth be told, the reality was I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Yep.
I don't want to be the jack of all trades anymore. I don't want to learn this and then be the expert because I, learned it 24 hours ago and I'm one step ahead. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to coach from my heart. I want to teach from my heart. I want to speak from my heart. So now when I present, when I speak, when I'm coaching, it's all on this general theme.
Yeah. And sometimes though, you have I love the concept you brought up of the, us niching it down, like tearing apart the idea. What we find in the evolution of the entrepreneur, which is something that we've become really interested in of late, like how does someone evolve from the status quo through entrepreneurship into the human that they want to become? And when we find people in the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint, the first thing we do is find your idea, because if you have to have an idea to try, people think they've got to find the idea, but you've got to have an idea. And then when you bring that idea in, you niche it down and you find your lane within this bigger thing. Like you can't download Bonnie Finnerty in all of her excellence over an entire career into a course and someone becomes a Bonnie Finnerty level principal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you can help them fix their health, stress, and work-life balance. If you can do that, that's going to make a big dent in all the other stuff. It's going to give them space to be able to go and do those other things.
But I love how you just didn't give it up. You didn't say, okay, here's this huge body of work that I want to present. And, I'm going to download all of my knowledge and information. And I don't even really want to do this. You didn't say, well, I'm just going to do it anyway and hope for the best. Or you didn't say, I'm going to completely give up. You just said, hey, I'm going to put this on the back burner for a minute. Some things are going to happen to me in my life, which is what happened to you. You had this health crisis situation, and because of that you were able to make something even better in the end.
On the other side, you let it keep processing in the background.
Yes.
So many people come in and they'll try to start a business. We see this all the time. Like someone will come in, they'll have a good idea. We're like, that's a great idea. We niche it down. They're like, cool. Then they try something for 30 days and they're like, well, this doesn't work. And it's like, that's not the game. The game is
that's just the first part of the process.
That's inning one of the entire thing. And you're like, in the 8th inning, you hit the walk-off home run and you're like, sweet, let's go run the score up now. That's pretty spectacular. So let's talk about the business itself. How are you creating content? How are you getting the word out for this? Now that we have an idea and after we niche down the idea, the next thing to do is to create the funnel, basically. How do you get people from discovery to purchase of this idea? So are you guys podcasting? Are you, sounds like you're speaking. Like, tell me how you're getting the word out and getting, because, and we don't have to talk about numbers, but from what you told me, this is preposterously successful. It's really, really interesting of like, this is kind of version 2.0, but it's kind of like 1.0 of this. And
It is. It really is
clients and it's
1.0.
growing now. Yeah.
Yes. So the coaching piece has really taken off. And as I said, it's way more coaching than I can do myself. And right now it's a lot of one-on-one. And for the most part, I don't seek contracts with one-offs. Now, do I coach one-offs? I do. What I do is I seek contracts with districts.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I'm writing larger contracts with districts. So I'm doing POs, I'm doing invoicing, that kind of thing. Now, I do have some that have, individually reached out, and I'll enter into a contract with, singletons, but mostly mine are much larger contracts with districts. And
did that evolve, or was that part of the plan once you settled into the niche?
I kind of thought it would always be part of the plan. And the reason being is, in my experience, I was doing contracts in my work with districts and stuff. So I kind of had an understanding of how to do that and how to go about doing that. And I kind of know like where to reach out, which organizations to reach out to, which organizations to present, trying to get a speaking opportunity with.
Gotcha.
And that's something I'll focus on a little bit more over this next year.
This is exactly what we kind of teach, because like Joss and I discovered this too when we had an education business. We went to the teachers, and then one day, I believe what happened was like at school, a librarian wrote in and was like, "Hey, I want my school to pay for this." And then we were like, "Wait a minute, the library had a budget."
And I'm like, am I allowed to take purchase orders? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I am.
Pretty sure I am.
Yes.
And then we would actively seek that. We actually changed our funnel to like an email would go out when people would join and be like, "Hey, did you know your school can pay for this?" And then we would get the person who was the decision maker, and we could be like, "Hey, we can cut you a deal for every librarian in your district," and it would just this massive check.
I loved going to get those checks. That was like one of my favorite days.
Real paper checks is still like one of my amazing things in life. If people will pay me in a check, I would totally do it if they would do it consistently. But like the element there is, whenever you build a business, you come up with an idea, you niche it down, you develop your product, what you're actually going to like help people transform with. Then you find ponds where your people are already swimming.
Right.
And that's where your people are. Like, why don't I just go to the district and say, "Hey, let me make your district better by helping all of your principals have better health." And once you find your pool of potential leads, like that's where you go. You just go get in front of them. You speak at that conference. You go to that school district. You, whatever it is. When I think of places I want to speak, I'm always looking at, well, if I go speak at Podcast Movement, that's all podcasters, and all podcasters need a product like a membership or a course or a coaching program. So we pick our points once we find that audience that we can actually resonate with. So you found that. You just found those people. So how are you reaching? Are you only reaching people by, is it like reach outs, or are you like creating like blogs or podcasts? Or?
No. So I was blogging. I'll be honest. Like if you happen to check the website, you'll see that the blog dates are a little behind, because one thing I absolutely discovered about myself, I do not enjoy blogging. Yeah. I just don't. So that one of the next to do things is a podcast. That's something I've been interested in for a long time. I do want to begin a podcast, and that is what I will do as far as that, that constant, every week or every month or whatever content.
Build the credibility through your voice kind of deal.
Yes. So I use social media also, and I'm on some different sites, and I'm in some different groups, and I put out some leads and some freebie stuff.
Do you use LinkedIn? LinkedIn seems like it would be like principal heaven, So
I very deliberately have built my LinkedIn account, my personal LinkedIn account. It is a couple thousand, almost all exclusively school administrators.
That's incredible.
So that is also, I'm just starting to put some stuff out. I worked hard to kind of build that up. I just haven't done. So I haven't done, a lot with that. The membership part, there's videos, there's content in there. The framework is all done. It's currently listed as, if you want to join the wait list kind of thing, you can do that.
Interesting.
But that is,
This is fascinating because you've created this amazing coaching program and you haven't even scratched the surface yet of like volume. It's just like, you know what? I'm going directly to get these coaching clients. That's going to fund everything else that we're building. And but in the background, you've been gathering your LinkedIn network, starting to build a following,
yes.
starting like you've got 2,000 school administrators that know who you are now that are ready to say, hey, have you heard my new podcast? Whatever that's called. Or,
Hmm.
hey, I've got this membership community that we're opening up. Or, like, imagine if you just opened your coaching program to that list of 2,000 people that are
Yeah,
following you on LinkedIn and you said, hey, let's get on a call. They said, hey, I want to hire you. And you said, hey, who's your district boss? And we'll just sell it to your
right.
whole entire school district all at once.
Yes, and I can do a package and all of that. So even on our website, there's the ability, if you want to, if you want to set this up for your district, I do discounts for, there's random tiers of numbers. If you have 0 to 5 administrators, or 6 to 10, or over 25, and then reach out this way, and we'll talk about a purchase order. And so it's all there. I just need to put it out now.
Hey, man, entrepreneurship 90% of the time is pouring Legos on a table and trying to figure out how they fit together.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
We're still doing that, however many years later.
Yeah, it never.
Mhm.
If we've learned anything, and all we've done is the game never changes. Like it just. I mean, of course, sales fixes everything, but like that's what we're always constantly trying to do is figure out how to move all these pieces to make
How
our
to
life
move the
better.
pieces.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm curious if you can tell us just briefly, like what does your offer entail? So if I'm a administrator in one of these districts and my district purchases your program for me, what do I receive?
Like, what does the coach do for us? Like, what do we do?
Okay, so the coaching piece is, you have two choices. There is one-to-one executive leadership health coaching, and all of our coaches are certified health coaches.
Okay.
One is a specialist in Ayurveda medicine. The others are all Institute for Integrative Nutrition health coaches, and all are experienced school administrators. All are. So it's coaching on systems, processes, procedures, and then we have what we call the SCP4, the Self-Care Peak Performance Power Players. And those peak performance power players are mindset, nutrients, sleep, stress reduction, hydration, movement, and the concept of crowding out. And we coach on all of that. And it's the principal or the building leader or the superintendent can bring issues to the table for coaching. And then we weave in all of those things
As the solution.
around yes.
Yeah. And do they meet with the coach like weekly or like monthly or like
It depends. So we have contracts that are weekly. And so we typically only coach for 10 months. We coach like an August, September start, depending on what region of the country you're in. Like our schools mostly start in September. So we coach an August to September, or August, September start to a May, June end. And we don't coach on holidays. We don't coach on school vacations, none of that. So that's all taken right from the get-go. Folks can coach weekly with their coach, and every coaching session is about a 45 to 50-minute Zoom. They can coach bi-weekly, so twice a month. They can coach once a month. I have coaching clients right now that I've been with for, this would be their 4th year. And now, truthfully, they don't need me on that weekly basis anymore, but they still want to touch base. If they have these larger institutional kind of initiatives, these big, bold, audacious goals that they're working on, or they have a long-term health goal, personal health goal, or professional one that they're working on, we'll touch base monthly.
Gotcha. So they just want that.
So,
and it's like any good coaching program. Like what people are really paying for is attention, accountability.
yes.
And people do want a process because they don't want to have to think about the framework. So like that's all coaching is. It's you've got a framework that works. You hold people accountable to go through the framework. And like and I love that you're hiring the principals, like these people who have been principals, been administrators, because there is a difference in a random coach that was trained on a method and someone who literally lived through it. Like they
walk their shoes.
Yeah, and you're even working with another one of our students, I believe.
We are.
Who?
We're so very excited. Joanne Westbrook, who is another
Oh yeah,
Flip Your
that's right. You
Lifer.
said that in the email. That's right.
Yeah, so I
She's a
think
Flip
that's
Lifestyle
amazing.
alumni.
Yeah. Very, very cool. We have several people who have
Did
done
you
that.
meet her at Flip Your Life Live?
Yes, yes.
Man, we
And
need to get her
then
live
just
then.
I know.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh, we need to
just
do that.
the network over the years and the, and kind of staying in touch. And she has this amazing Facebook group for teachers along the same lines as Principal Health Coach. And so I just, we stayed in touch over the years, and I reached out to her and I'm like, Joanne, I need some help. Would you consider becoming a certified health coach? Because I know that wellness and self-care is important to her. And she's like, absolutely. And I said, so this was a year ago. And I said, okay. I said, I anticipate that next year I'm going to need some help. So she is one of our coaches. She's onboarding right now with us, and she just picked up 4 coaching clients. And
Incredible.
she's actually coming to New York. She's coming to Cooperstown, not too far from me. So we're hopefully getting together next week while she's here for a wedding.
That's incredible.
So,
That's awesome. I love it when the
Yes.
students
Mhm.
come
Connect
together.
together.
It all comes around.
Yeah, the
Full
Flip
circle.
Lifestyle community is pretty crazy like that.
So I'm curious also, do your students have the opportunity to talk to each other in this environment? I'm just curious.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
that's a great component or
so-
something.
So there's that one-on-one, and then we do have a mastermind coaching. The structure is all there. I haven't started the mastermind yet. We have everything's in place, but I had to make sure that I had additional coaches to help handle all that one-to-one before I could even begin to think about doing a mastermind, because obviously if I'm going to do it, I've got to do it well. It can't fall on its face. So the mastermind structure is there. It is limited in number. It is specifically for sitting, practicing active administrators. So that has a component where, yes, they can speak with one another. They are connected through community. Some of the school districts that we work with, we do some community work with their one-on-one coaches. Like the contract we just wrote, there's 22 school administrators that will start coaching in 2 weeks. They will have an opportunity. We just did a 4-hour
Like they'll talk
kickoff
to
of
each
their
other
retreat.
in their own thing or whatever.
They can if they choose to. And then the membership, there absolutely is a community piece that once launched, there's that community piece. And that, it's interesting. You said something recently, Shane, on a podcast, and at first when I was building this membership piece, I thought it was all about the content. The content had to be so important and it had to be so valuable and I had to make it perfect. And you said something that's really all about the community and kind of the coaching and that leadership piece. And I'm like, that is so true. That was so freeing for me, because I'll still finish my content, and the membership will have the modules and it'll have those videos and stuff in there. But that's not the primary focus. That's not why they're coming, because quite frankly, they can get that PD stuff anywhere.
Dude, you can go to Chat GPT. We've been talking to Chat GPT for 3 days on a project. Me and Jocelyn, and we're having Chat GPT interview us and ask us questions and talk through something.
It's been like a robot mediator.
It's been like a robot mediator in our marriage. It's been, yeah. I'm going to tell it, Chat GPT, assume the parameters of being the world's greatest marriage coach and work with us for a couple hours. But
it's been like really organized.
Eye-opening and organized.
Yeah.
Like content.
And we haven't been like arguing with each other. We're just like
pretty good.
It's
It's like the content, we're witnessing content come to literal life with artificial intelligence. And what we have always thought, the reason we started the Flipped Lifestyle community and the reason we always called it the community was to focus our look at the humans. And every time we take our eye off the humans, we lose. Our revenue goes down, our membership loses. If we're just like, we need to make more courses, we need to automate this, it always messes things up. And that's what
people want connection.
They do.
Yeah.
They want, if it's a connection with a coach, great. Really content is for a coach just to give additional context. So if I say, hey, we're talking about your idea and we come up with an idea, I do need a course that I have recorded to say, all right, now I want you to go watch this video about niching that idea down.
We can't sit there for 40 minutes with every single person and talk to them. We can say, hey, we made this video, go check it out.
But they're coming for you, and they're coming for the transformation you can help them through. They're coming for that connection accountability, and also too, like just like you and Joanne Westbrook, like this is a literal physical manifestation of this. This happens in our community online. You guys showed up in the same place with the same general direction, sat at a table together, got to know each other, and then that connection is what's led to this amazing chance to work together. You know what I'm saying? And that's that. If your online product can do that, it will sell. It will totally make things happen. If you're just trying to make money on courses, you can milk people out of money for a couple years and it'll be fine. But there won't be that like what do you call it? That satisfaction of that human like relationship together, you know? Man, this is amazing. It's absolutely
So
remarkable.
I have a couple of things that I want to ask. So the first thing is you've got this thing off the ground. It's been wildly successful so far. Like, what is next for Principal Health Coach?
So what is next for Principal Health Coach is, and this, I think this will make you really happy too. We talk about that connection piece. I need to I need to be able to systematize and create processes and procedures for more of the back end work, especially as I like have to do onboarding of new team members. Like I desperately need a virtual assistant and someone that can help me with the social media content piece. So I've been working on a job description with that, and all of those systems and processes and procedures and that whole chat GPT piece. You know, I've been learning that and spending time in that. Well, I have another Flip Your Lifer that is going to be helping me with that. We just spent some time together 2 weeks ago, and in October, I'm going to start.
Who is it?
That is, who do you think that's? Jeanette Stein.
Oh, yeah, Jeanette. Yeah, Jeanette Stein. Yeah, the systems and AI queen herself.
Yes. So she's going to be helping me with some of that, and we're going to start working together in October. So that'll be a huge piece because I need to get that systemization in place so that I don't feel like I'm, playing whack-a-mole or squirrel. And once I've got it done, I've got it done.
After we get off here, we may have somebody for your social media from Flip Lifestyle too.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about
that. So that would be awesome. And then the next piece is really the formal launching of the membership. Once and for all, I'm going to finish loading those videos. I'm going to finish recording those videos, get that up and running, and then start just putting that out to the world.
So that's going to be more of like a low cost entry point for people, I presume.
Well, or principals that may not be ready to fully commit to the intensity of a coaching program or move them along in the funnel a little bit.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And as soon as I'm ready to do that, and I've taken your words to heart. It only took 9 years or whatever, but
hey, if it makes you feel any better, I've been looking in the mirror for 46 years and I still don't take my own advice half the time.
Yeah, really don't.
Like I heard a great quote the other day that said, wisdom is listening to your own advice. And like, so 9 years,
that's really
46.
good.
You're like 40 years ahead of me in listening to my advice. So it's great. I love it. It's awesome.
Well, even though every module won't be done, there will be enough in there. And I have overall about 100 school principals that I've directly coached over the last 3 years. So I'm going to their districts and just giving them a very reduced price and saying, here, I'd love for you to be in here. I'd love for you to spend 6 months with me, help me work out the bugs, let's just do this together. And
what a great downsell to districts too, to be able to say, like, if they don't want the full blown huge contract coaching, be like, well, we've got this, and for this much money, you can buy a membership for every school district or every person in your principal in your district. And then those people are in there seeing what's happening, seeing these things. I would bring your coaching clients in for like live calls to show transformations.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
And those people will see it and want it the next year. It's good. It's amazing.
And there's a live coaching once a month in that membership with all of the coaches. We all get on. So
totally. Yeah. So my next question for you. Okay. So one of the things that we're doing here at Flip Lifestyle is we are starting to talk about our journey as people. So, we started out as these people who were employees. We then turned to business owners. And over the past few years, we have been exploring just different parts of ourselves and just growing as people and humans, and just like seeing all the beauty and the pain and, just the human
Yeah.
experience. And so I'm curious for people out there who might be listening to this, maybe they're thinking, maybe they started 9 years ago and they're like, oh, I started this and it didn't work
Mhm.
or whatever. I'm just curious, like, what would your advice be to somebody who is out there? Maybe they tried, maybe they started this journey with us, 9, 10 years ago, just like you
Mhm.
did. And maybe they're still at their job or they're still doing whatever it is that they're doing. Like, what advice would you have for them?
Like to stick with it. Like, how'd you stick with it? You know what I'm saying?
That's a great question, Jocelyn. It really is. And it's one I've thought about because I always thought no, not if, when I finally send that email to Shane and Jocelyn, there have to be other tortoises like me, that tortoise in the hare, that slow and steady, that not only that slow and steady, always making a little bit of progress, but that slow and steady. And sometimes, I went backwards quite a lot. Sometimes I changed. Sometimes I threw something completely out, and I'd be away from it for so long that I'd have to go back and relearn something. And I just felt like I was spinning wheels. I would say that the the greatest threat to you not ever completing this is what's up here.
Mm.
It's what's up here in your own mind. It's the thoughts that we tell ourselves. It's the thoughts that we tell ourselves that other people are thinking about us. It's the thoughts that we tell ourselves that other people are judging about us. And quite honestly, 99.9% of the time, none of that is truth.
Mm.
It is not. And our thoughts drive our feelings. Our feelings drive our action or inaction, and our actions drive our results. And if you don't like the result, jump back up in that line. And that's from Brooke Castile, who was like fabulous in that whole, that thinking and feelings and
Flip
action.
Lifestyle alumni
And
too, by the way.
yes, and learn from her. I use her stuff in my coaching all the time. And it's go and jump back up in that thought line and look at your thinking.
Mm.
Because that's very often where the hindrance is. We like to say, it's time. I'm pulled in too many directions. It's money. I don't have enough money. Well, a lot of times it really is our own thinking about our time. It's our own thinking about our money or our capacity or our ability to create value. When in fact, something like Principal Health Coach, there is without a doubt in my mind that people need this.
Yeah.
Totally. I think part of it too is like, as humans, I think a lot of times we have such black and white thinking. So we think, okay, we tried this business one time, it didn't work, it's never going to work for me.
It's a yes or no.
Yeah. And like, what if you had said that? Because, the business that you started out trying to create turned into something that
This
was
is too
completely
overwhelming.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what if you would have
Yes.
said a long time ago, I'm flipping this light switch off and I'm never going to come back to it. But instead you waited, things happened to you in your life and you were like, oh, I can take this wisdom and these experiences and turn them into something even better.
Yeah. And it,
Right?
and then,
Yes.
everything in our life we've just determined is gray, not black and white. Like life is not black and white. We try to make it black and white because that feels easier, but it's really always a dimmer switch. Jocelyn says that all the time.
Yeah, like it's just
Oh, I
something
love
that I'm
that.
learning in my life. I'm just learning that things are gray area. There isn't black or white. It's all gray
There's
area.
almost not success or failure as long as you're alive.
Yeah,
It's just
like
the next thing you have to try and do.
we're always
Yeah.
learning and evolving. If something doesn't work out for me, like maybe it was for my good and maybe I can use that experience and that wisdom that I got from that event or that bad thing that happened or whatever it was and I use it to move forward in my life.
We're redoing the Flipped Lifestyle Blueprint right now, like to kind of just update it and change it and clean it up a little bit based on what we know now about business that we didn't know a few years ago or whatever. We've always added to it, but it kind of got big and we're trying to cut it down. And just this morning, Bonnie, it's so interesting that you say this. The universe always aligns for your good. But like it's like our good. But it's like we were talking about how we were looking at the structure of the blueprint. And we've always been really focused on like the funnel. Like I got a new book coming out. It's called Earn More, Live More. And in it, I've got a sales funnel and I teach that and there's stories and all this stuff. But like when we were writing down the blueprint today, thanks Chat GPT for your great interview questions. But it was like we were like, okay, well, they find the idea. And then we were like, oh, wait. Fear comes in right here. And
Yes.
there needs to be a thought-based mindset course embedded right in the blueprint, in the sales funnel. That's the next step. It's not, I got my idea, go build my opt-in. It's whatever that mindset issue is right now. Like, or like, let's say in the sales funnel, there comes a point where you have to build a product, whether it's a coaching program, a membership, or a course. But there's a fear right before that of perfectionism. Like that needs to be addressed in that line of thinking. And we're realizing more and more that no entrepreneur fails because of their idea or because the tools are too hard or because something else. It's always that one little mindset thing creeps in and
It's up here.
stops them. And we hit that fight or flight
Yes.
response and we run, you know? So what
Mhm.
confirmation
Yep.
from one of our people over a 9-year epic journey to come back and bring that torch of, hey guys,
Don't give up.
guys, it's in your mindset. Don't forget, this is what we got to do. And Shane and Jocelyn, by the way, we need more mindset courses inside the blueprint. We got to deal with this stuff a little more head on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're still dealing with this all the time too. You know, it's like
never ends.
12 years later,
Never goes away.
and it's so funny because like we were talking today, basically all of the things that Chat GPT is kind of like leading us through right now, it's basically like a 360, you know, like we started here.
Come all the way around. And we're like,
right back
and
where
we're
we
like,
started.
wait a minute. I thought we overcame that in 2013 when we quit our jobs and we became entrepreneurs. And we're like, oh, those fears come back. There's this song I listen to all the time. It's called Dreamer. And it talks about the demons rising up in your head. And like that's what happens. Like we squashed them for a while. And then the imposter syndrome will come back because we're trying something bigger and new. Like as you grow, imposter syndrome's coming back. Perfectionism's coming back.
It's always there. Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
And I heard a couple of things. I heard a couple of things along my journey. And Jocelyn, you asked me what helped me to keep going. And it was the realization that failure, and the fear of failure is just a matter of perspective. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of perspective. And then the other big piece, the other big thing that I found was everything comes to fruition exactly when it's supposed to.
Truth.
Yep.
That is gospel truth.
I truly believe that.
Yeah. And if it's not coming to fruition, it's just because it's not the time.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that it's not for you.
And you can't force it.
You can't force it.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm happy about as we wrap this up here is I am proud of you. And like you really are I mean, of all that, we have thousands of stories and you're a special story. Like we know the name Bonnie Finnerty in our household, like for sure. Like you made a lasting impression on us for sure. And I think it's also like just not confirming. I don't know what the right word is, but it's really cool that like flipped lifestyle is still here. And like when you came back, it was like, haha. It's like we're still here, we're still going, we're still trying to do the same. Take people.
It's very validating, isn't it?
So I'm glad we are still here over almost a decade later.
Yeah, like this fire
to be here to celebrate with you for this moment, right? And we'll be here 10 years for whoever's listening right now, and you've been putting this off. Let's go. Let's freaking figure this out. Let's do it. Bonnie, listen, thanks for coming on the show. This is going to inspire a lot of people, and we're going to share the heck out of it. And I can't wait to see what Principal Health Coach does next.
Thank you so much. It's so good to connect with both of you again. And I'm so glad you didn't quit along the way because I never would have been able to send that email then.
We ain't never going to stop. We ain't never going to stop. Keep on going. All right, guys, that wraps up this Flipped Lifestyle podcast with Bonnie Finnerty. What an amazing story. You know, I always talk on the podcast about how the things you do in life are like throwing pebbles in a pond. And, you know, the initial action you take to help somebody, like we helped Bonnie in her initial search for an online business and the things that she wanted to do. That's just the first step. The ripple goes out and it affects other people. And now, even though it took her 9 years, you talk about never give up. Anybody that's laid down the dream, guys, pick it back up like Bonnie did and keep going. Get out of your head and into the real world and start doing this. But that's like a pebble in the pond. Those ripples go out. And now, because she didn't stop, because she didn't let life get in the way, even when life was in the way, she kept going. She's now impacting principals, helping them with their help, helping them with their stress. She's making them more productive and more effective at their job. And that's going to trickle down to the teachers in those school districts, to the kids in those school districts, to the communities those kids will eventually join as adults. And that pebble in the pond that she threw back in 2015, and the ripple kind of went to the sides. She picked up another pebble and threw it in the pond. The ripples went back out. Those ripples that she's going to cause now are going to have an impact she's going to make is going to be because of her business are going to keep going and going and going. And honestly, the ripple of her 9-year journey hit me. And it was an email on a bad day that made everything come into focus. And it was like, aha. That's why we do what we do at Flip Lifestyle. We would love to help you at Flip Lifestyle too. If we can help you start your journey toward entrepreneurship, going out and finding a way to make an impact, to make an income, to make money online, to build more freedom into your life, that's what we're here for. And we ain't going anywhere. We're going to be here for a while doing it. So if we're already here and you're already here, why aren't you doing it? Head over to flippedlifestyle.com, FLIPPED, lifestyle.com, so that we can show you how we flipped our life and turned it upside down and created a life of freedom and independence for ourselves and thousands of other people inside of the Flip Lifestyle community. All right, y'all, that's all the time we have for the podcast and the show this week. Until next time, get out there, take action, and do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then. I was interviewing a friend of mine, totally unrelated to Flip Lifestyle, and she was at the movies and someone walked out wearing that shirt. And whatever it was you, maybe it was you. Were you at the movies recently?
Lauren actually lives near me. Lauren Cabela.
Oh my gosh, was it you that she saw wearing the shirt?
Yeah.
That would be, I don't know anybody else from Syracuse area that's been to live events. That would be so funny.
I swear that she said she saw, maybe, I don't know if it's the movies or somewhere, but she said she saw someone wearing a Flip Your Life Y'all shirt.